Hi folks, I'm Rich Bills, and I'd like to take you on an adventure. Hi folks, and welcome to part 6 of my devlog as I build an immersive sim in Godot 4. The last few weeks have been very code heavy, so in this episode I'll be going over the visual side of things as I explain how I'm building my models and assembling them into scenes to adventure in. So, without further ado, let's dig into terrain. This capsule mesh represents the player. They're an average human size of 1.6 meters tall and about half a meter wide. My terrain pieces are designed to fit together inside a 3x3 meter grid, which I call a cell. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it makes things really easy to line up when you're building levels. Let's give them a floor to stand on. The floor piece is a 3x3 meter wide and 10 centimeter thick, and it's fully inside this grid. The same goes for the walls and the ceilings. Around the back we can see I've got a bit of Z-fighting going on. I fixed this by never letting the player see the back of a cell. It's a simple solution that requires no coding and has no detrimental effect on the performance as far as I can tell. They don't even need a collision shape if they're never going to be bumped into either. By now you must be thinking I'm colourblind or a fan of Jackson Pollock for picking such bright colours, but they aren't really for human consumption. They are all just placeholders for the theming system. I chose them as they're all primary colours and easy to type and to pick in the colour picker. In this case all the trim elements are coded white and the wall is split into 3 sections coded in red, blue and green. Each mesh has a theme, which is a list of what these colour-coded blocks should really look like. Here's the default one. The theme has swapped out all the white trim elements for this white plain texture and all the green elements out for the vent textures and so on. All my wall generic template pieces follow this pattern. It means I can take the default wall model and make it green, or dark, or even a bathroom. Or change the wall mesh altogether. It gives me a lot of models and a lot of looks for a little effort, and the ability to change the look of the whole section easily as I build out my locations. If I decide I want all my red walls to be use a dirty red texture, I can apply it just at the theme level and it automatically propagates to any of the meshes that have that theme. This theming is applied to everything in the game, not just the terrain. Furniture and items also can have a theme. It means I can do things like use the same model for a box of food as a box of ammo. All I have to do is change the theme and the material that it's using. So let's have a quick look at the theming code. It's refreshingly short. Anything that needs to be themed inherits from this script. Entities are themable, as are items as well as terrain. All their base types inherit from this script. Firstly, it's a tool script. I want it to update in the editor as I change things. I build my levels in the editor and I want them to be as close to the game as possible. Most of the complexity in this script actually comes from it just being a tool script, with lots of checks to make sure references have been set up. The actual theming process is simple. We start with a reference to the theme data, and this is a list of the colours and their associated textures. Here we can see the map of colours and textures for a wall. Here the white has been swapped out for a white material, and the red for a red material, and the green's been swapped out for texture maps materials, and so on. So we set up a few listeners to make sure that we keep everything in the editor up to date, and then we update the theme. This is a reiterative method. It uses recursion to travel down the node tree to handle any child meshes. So I pass in a reference to the parent node at the top, and out of the gate that's the theme node itself. I then check if the node is a mesh instance 3D node with a valid mesh, and that the mesh has its surfaces set up correctly. If that's all good, I check we have a theme to apply. I then cast the node into a mesh instance 3D so I can access its properties as a mesh instance 3D, and then run through every surface in the mesh and check if the colour of the surface is in my list of colours in the theme. If it is, I set the material override for that surface to be the one specified in the theme data. If we don't have a theme, I remove the override material to make the model stand out in the editor and remind me to give it a theme. After we've sorted out the materials for this node, we then run through all of the children for this node and apply the theme to them, unless they have their own theme already, and so on through their children. Static lights handle their own theming, so are ignored too. Eventually we run out of children nodes, and the theming process is complete. This is all done the moment the node is ready and before it's displayed on screen so the player never sees the unstyled meshes. The theme can be changed at runtime too. It could, for example, be changed to be a cracked and broken wall after an explosion. Now you have an idea of how the models fit together and how the theming works, let's have a look at that in practice, along with a couple of other tools I use to help me put my levels together. These tools allow me to quickly place repeating tiles like floors, walls and ceilings. I give the tool the dimensions in cells and it loads the meshes and builds up one simple collision shape to encompass them. The area I'll be creating is in the maintenance section of the peregrine. The power is out and so it's emergency power only. And we sprung a leak. The music is Between the Space from the YouTube audio library. And that's my terrain and theming system, and how I'm building my levels. I hope you found it interesting or useful. As always, if you've got any questions about this or any of my other videos, drop a comment down below. And that wraps up episode 6. I'm currently working around inventories and items, so that will probably be the subject of the next devlog. Until then, thanks so much for watching and chatting with me on Blue Sky. I love talking code, and I love seeing what everyone else is getting up to. So please like, share, comment and subscribe, and follow me on Blue Sky for more regular dev updates and photos of the dog. Until then, see you folks.